Good evening. My name is Kathleen Terry Sharp, and I am the brand new Vice President of Institutional Advancement by 10 days. I'm also a very proud 1988 graduate of Millsaps. And when I was here, this space did not look like this. This was a big surprise for me. But one of the things that has remained the same is what Millsaps actually is. The education we receive, the foundations that are built here, and the people that we send out into the world. And it's my honor to welcome you tonight as we recognize our distinguished alums tonight. It's a celebration of those who exemplify the very best of what Millsaps is through their leadership, their service, and their generosity. Their work and their lives continue to bring pride and distinction to Millsaps. Their achievements exemplify the impact that Millsaps' experience in education on our students has and fosters the development of the next generation of leaders. Tonight we honor our alums who have so positively impacted our communities and indeed our world. Now I ask Joy Parikh, the Interim Director of Alumni and Parent Relations, to introduce our award recipients.
Thanks, Kathleen. Good evening, majors. I'm Joy Parikh, a proud member of the class of 1998. It's wonderful to see so many friends and alums gathered here tonight. This evening, we have the privilege of honoring three remarkable individuals: Dorothea Staursky, Reverend Johnny Wray, and Dr. Gerald, each of whom has not only achieved great success in their fields, but who truly reflect the very best of Millsaps College. We'll begin tonight by presenting the Livesay Award. This award honors Jim Livesay's service to the college, both as an alumnus and as a longtime member of the administration. Each year, Millsaps recognizes an individual who truly embodies the values of volunteerism, service, leadership, and dedication. When Jim Livesay received this award in '87, he said, "Millsaps fed my mind and liberated my spirit. It deepened and never let me forget concern for my fellow man. It lifted up justice and compassion as essential to life and gave me courage, for it is indeed a courageous college." I think this quote still captures the heart of what Millsaps stands for, and it certainly describes this year's recipient. Tonight, we're proud to honor Reverend Johnny Wray as our Livesay Award recipient, and I truly cannot think of a more deserving person. We have the privilege tonight of having Reverend Don Shutt here today to help us honor Johnny. Reverend Shutt is a retired pastor and hospital chaplain in the Christian Church, Disciples of Christ. His friendship with Johnny began through their shared commitment to mentoring young ministers, and it continues today, rooted in a mutual love of good soil, thoughtful conversation, and the poetry of Mary Oliver. Don, I invite you to come to the podium.
I stood up and Johnny said, "Should we clap?" Yeah, feel free. So, if you get on the trace, just a little north of here. Okay, how are we doing here? Get on the trace just a little north of here and travel up toward Tupelo for a couple hours. You can easily miss the dirt road exit created by locals to access State Road 50 toward West Point. And then if you slide past the little post office in Cedar Bluff and turn north on State Road 46, you arrive at a sign that says Johnny Wray Road. Good old Clay County beat you to the punch. Now you follow Johnny Wray Road to the end and you've arrived at High Hope Farm, the homestead of Johnny and Deb Wray. A little less than 40 acres. They do not have a mule, but they do have two beautiful horses, 3 cats, 1 dog, chickens, lambs, cattle, and a lovely place for guests called the Grateful House. All are welcome to this harmony of goodness. But Johnny's path to High Hope Farm was circuitous. He nurtured beloved church communities here in Jackson and Waddy, Kentucky, wherever that is. And then after seminary in Oak Ridge and Paris, Tennessee, then came the challenging call to serve disaster relief through the Week of Compassion for the Christian Church Disciples of Christ. He began traveling to disciple churches all over the U.S. and Canada, raising their awareness of needs outside of themselves and encouraging them to give generously toward the care of others. He raised millions on behalf of war-torn Bosnia, tsunami-stricken Asia, refugees, and countless victims of Katrina. He's the only person I know who has traveled to assess the human needs in North Korea, in the forbidden Hinter regions of Pakistan and Afghanistan, and in Darfur, in war-torn Sudan. I was thinking how this introduction would be much more colorful if it were being made tonight by Javad, Johnny's Bosnian brother by a different mother, or by BJ, his courageous pastor brother from Zimbabwe, or the compassionate heart of his brother Filiberto and his migrant ministry on the Texas-Mexico border. Johnny doesn't enjoy leaving the haven of High Hope Farm, and as you can understand, he's a reluctant traveler these days. And this evening, he is a reluctant recipient of this prestigious Jim Livesay Service Award. However, I am honored to present to you my friend, Johnny Wray. Please come forward and accept your award.
That's who's really responsible. Thank you, Don, for those kind words. But more importantly, thank you for what you could have said but did not. Per our agreement, your check is in the mail. And my deep thanks to whoever is responsible for this. For when I think of the company in which I stand of prior recipients of the Livesay Award, I am humbled. And when I think just of the Millsaps grads that I know who are far more worthy than I, yes, Don, I am reluctant, but I am deeply honored and deeply grateful. Though it has been some 50-odd years since I graduated from Millsaps, there are scores and scores of memories which remain embedded in both my heart and in my mind. Some are rather humorous. The KA pledge class kidnapping me in just my Fruit of the Looms and dropping me off in the middle of the night somewhere in Belhaven. I can still tremble recalling John Quincy Adams' constitutional law class, hoping and praying that he wouldn't call on me because I hadn't prepared for the day's case of Smith versus Jones, and I would have to use one of the 3 passes he so graciously allowed us for the semester. Or I can remember being enraptured in Professor Howard Bavender's political theory class when Bav was on a roll in one of his lectures, and then later conspiring in the grill with fellow poli-sci classmates about his mysterious background. I remember Dr. Ross Moore's introductory history class. It was the largest class I ever had at Millsaps, maybe 30, 35 of us. And then at Thanksgiving, I was speaking with my cousin who had the same class, the same textbook at Mississippi State. and whose class size was larger than our entire entering class at Millsaps. And simply mentioning to her about the conversations you could have with Dr. Moore in his office just by dropping by, and she telling me you had to make an appointment and you generally ended up speaking with a graduate assistant. That's Millsaps. But I especially remember whatever class, whatever professor, being challenged to think new thoughts, to think critically, to not be afraid of being curious, to settle for nothing less than your best, to understand the world was a far larger place than previously imagined, but not being ashamed of the place from whence you came, and of imagining Mississippi being a far different and better place. Those were seeds that were planted here and somewhat nurtured here, but planted and nurtured nonetheless, and hopefully they grew and matured in the ensuing years and still do so, I hope, in whatever years remain ahead. But what Millsaps meant to me then and what it means to me now can best be expressed from a line in one of Wendell Berry's novels, when the protagonist, Andy Catlett, reflecting back about the nourishing, extravagant love of his grandmother, says poignantly, "But knowledge comes with age, and gratitude grows with knowledge. Now I am as grateful to her as I should have been then." And so I can now say of my alma mater, my nourishing mother, grandmother, that I'm as grateful to her now as I should have been then, even more so. I'm grateful for the changes that are here. We're in one tonight. I'm grateful for all the new facilities, the beautiful landscaping, the pedestrian campus, the successful sports teams, a graduate school, so many service opportunities and international study programs. But I think there is one thing that hasn't changed, and God forbid it ever change, and it is what truly makes Millsaps special. So anyway, part of what I need to say in gratitude for what Millsaps College means to me, and to most, I think, everyone who has claimed Millsaps as their nourishing mother, is from something President James A. Garfield said when he was asked to speak at Williams College in 1871 in tribute to a friend of his and an educator of some note, a certain Mark Hopkins. "I am not willing that this discussion should close without mention of the value of a true teacher. Give me a log hut with only a simple bench, Mark Hopkins on one end and I on the other, and you may have all the buildings, apparatus, etc. without him. So give me Howard Bavender, John Quincy Adams, Dr. Ross Moore, Dr. Charles Salas, Dr. Lee Rife, and so many others. These kind of relationships between professor and student are what make Millsaps Millsaps, and make me grateful for her now as I should have been then. Go Majors.
Our second award tonight is the Outstanding Young Alumna Award, which is presented annually to the individual who has graduated in the past 15 years and has excelled in their profession and in service to the broader community. I'd like to welcome Dr. Pat Taylor to present this award. Dr. Taylor is an emeriti professor of economics. During his time at Millsaps, Pat was named the distinguished faculty member and served as the director of the BBA program. Pat shined in his role as advisor to the ELTS School's undergraduates. In fact, he developed and maintained so many relationships that hardly a semester passed when he did not get a wedding invitation or a baby announcement. Dr. Taylor.
Thank
you, Kathleen. Good evening. When Dorothea honored me greatly by asking me to do this introduction, I thought, well, I'm honored deeply, but I'm also here in great fear and trepidation because it's so hard to be able to do her justice, but I will try. I met her when she showed up in one of my classes, and she was always well prepared. She was always immaculately and stylishly dressed, and she was prepared academically. And this is because she took pride in her preparation for each individual day and for the rest of her life. And so that's I hope she knew that was the source of my poking fun at her. She had the very good sense to be born to two wonderful parents. I got to know the Staurskys while Dorothea was here, and I also got to know both of her brothers, Dr. Daniel and Dmitri Staursky. The thing that describes best Dorothea's character, if you read a bio, for me, that thing that describes her character best is not written there. So I hope to tell that story quickly, 2 minutes. The legendary basketball coach John Wooden is said to have said, "Sports don't build character, they reveal it." An incident in her senior year at the end of the very last day of her athletic career at Millsaps illustrates what I think Wooden had in mind. It was every year, every one of the sports teams here at Millsaps on the last home game has senior day or senior night or senior recognition day. And it was that day for the women's soccer team. And the coach has them all lined up on the back line and calls forward each of the players individually to come to the center of the field and be recognized. Well, her name starting with S, Dorothea, was last. So the team is out there. All of her fellow seniors are out there. The coach calls her name. One of her teammates, I forgot to say, she was in a cast. She'd hurt her leg the day, she says it was her left leg, so had hurt her leg, and so walking was going to be difficult for her. So when her name was called, her other teammates are already out there in the middle of the field. One of her teammates ran back to the sidelines, picked her up, and carried her to the middle of the field so she could be adequately honored. Now that says something well about her teammate, of course, but to me, what it says more loudly and more distinctly is what about Dorothea's character made her teammates want to do that. That's an unusual thing, I think. So what about her character? What that reveals, like as Wooden said, about her character is her love for her teammates, her very strong faith, the way she builds and nurtures the relationships that she has, how she leads others to become the best versions of themselves. In fact, her whole way of going about life. That's the reason her teammates were moved to pick her up and bring her to the center of the field so that their captain could be adequately recognized. There's more to say, but I don't have the time. So please welcome Millsaps 2025 Outstanding Young Alumna, Dorothea Staursky.
Good evening. Thank you so much for those kind remarks, Dr. Taylor. I would also like to extend my gratitude to the Millsaps College administration, faculty, staff, and especially the Alumni Office for honoring me with this year's Outstanding Alumna Award. I am truly humbled. When I think back on my time at Millsaps, it's easy to focus on those 4 years of my undergraduate education. the late nights studying, the incredible professors, the classmates who became friends, and the unique experience of being a student athlete. But a Millsaps education is so much more than just those 4 years. It begins long before your first day on campus, and it continues long after graduation. One of my earliest encounters with Millsaps came shortly after I committed to attend. I received a call from Dr. Patrick Taylor, who welcomed me personally and walked me through some of the courses I would be taking. Dr. Taylor immediately put me at ease. He was warm, engaging, and genuinely interested in getting to know me. He even had Birmingham connections, which made it feel all the more special. That phone call went far beyond academics. It was my first glimpse into what people meant when they said that Millsaps is a place where you're more than just a number. And they were absolutely right. In the basement of the library, there was a quote that was etched by a classmate from years before I arrived that always caught my eye. It read, "Don't schedule your life around undergrad too tightly, because usually where life takes you is better than wherever you thought you would be." That quote has stayed with me all of these years, and I've come to believe it is true. Life unfolds in ways that are more meaningful and fulfilling than we could ever plan or imagine. Millsaps in particular helped me to develop into the person I am today. Making a big decision at 18, like choosing which college to attend, is daunting. Looking back after all these years and reflecting on the many steps I have taken since that decision, I know the choice holds great weight, and I am certain I made the right one. Millsaps' curriculum and exceptional faculty encouraged me to think beyond the status quo. The emphasis on writing challenged me to dig deeper, and our comprehensive exams taught me to think critically and broadly. Though I was an accounting major and later earned an MBA, the liberal arts courses remain some of my most memorable, helping me to appreciate the arts, religions, and diverse cultures, and enabling me to connect with people from many different walks of life. My Millsaps education prepared me to succeed, not just in the workplace, but at home, in the community, and in the ever-changing world. It gave me the confidence to strive for excellence and the courage to push beyond my comfort zone. It instilled in me a passion for lifelong learning that can be seen in my postgraduate degrees. This college gave me more than a degree, though. It gave me a foundation, a community, and a sense of purpose that I carry with me every day. I'm honored to be a part of the Millsaps family. I'm especially thankful to Millsaps for the opportunity to be a student athlete. Playing on the women's soccer team was truly a dream come true. Having the chance to continue playing the sport I love and to lead the team as captain is something I will always cherish. We all understand the lifelong value of athletics: work ethic, determination, teamwork, time management, and resilience. Competing at the collegiate level gave me all of that, but it also gave me something more: a deep sense of connection with my fellow student athletes and coaches, and immense pride in representing Millsaps both on and off the field. The relationships I built at Millsaps played a pivotal role in launching my career in healthcare administration. My first part-time job at the University of Mississippi Medical Center came from a posting on the job board while I was earning my MBA through the Else School of Management. The work entering data for a cardiovascular study was pretty mundane, but it opened the door to a professional career in hospital administration and operations. Later, my first full-time role in the field came through a connection with Dr. Blakely Fender, my economics professor. These were not coincidences. They were the result of real connections built over time and fostered by a close-knit community. I'm honored to receive this award, especially as this year marks an important milestone in my personal and professional life. My fiance, Adam Settis, proposed this summer, and we're planning a wedding for February. Adam has admired Millsaps since we met and has been incredibly supportive of my goals and endeavors. Having him here tonight and sharing the school that means so much to me makes this moment very special. I'm especially grateful for the support and sacrifices my parents, Andrew and Catherine Staursky, made to ensure I had every opportunity to pursue higher education. My time at Millsaps and the experiences and growth that followed would not have been possible without their unwavering love and encouragement. Providing the best education for my two brothers and me was always a top priority for them. I witnessed the sacrifices they made so we had every chance to succeed. You could always find them at every soccer game in their usual spot at the top of the bleachers on the 40-yard line. My mom's spirited "Go Majors Go" at kickoff could be heard echoing through the Belhaven and Fondren neighborhoods and throughout the SAA conference. Though neither of my parents attended Millsaps, they recognized its value, the academic rigor, the close-knit community, and the pursuit of excellence, and they were committed to giving us the opportunity to be a part of it. I think one of the biggest testaments of Millsaps' impact on my life was that my two younger brothers, Daniel and Dimitri, chose to attend Millsaps after witnessing my experience firsthand. They too served as captains of the men's soccer team, and some of my fondest memories are from attending college alongside them and cheering them on as they advanced in the NCAA tournament. Though their career paths differ from mine, both have established successful careers in medicine and commercial real estate appraisal, and they credit Millsaps for laying the foundation for the rest of their lives. Our motto at Millsaps is Ad Excellentiam, toward excellence. But what I've come to understand is that this pursuit of excellence isn't just about personal success. It's about striving to be our best so that we can lift others up, to serve our communities, to lead with purpose, and to leave a lasting and positive legacy. I will continue to live out the values instilled in me at Millsaps, to remain curious, to ask questions, to be opinionated yet open-minded and respectful, to be empathetic, to be giving and service-orienting, always asking myself, what good can I do with this day that I have been given? And finally, I will reach for excellence in all that I do. Thank you again to Millsaps College for this incredible honor and for the lasting and positive impact you have made on my life. Thank you.
Our final award tonight is the Distinguished Alumnus Award. This award is presented annually to an individual who has distinguished themselves in 3 distinct areas. Tonight's recipient has achieved excellence in his profession, has made outstanding contributions and service to society, and has brought distinction to himself, to his profession, and to his alma mater. I'd like to welcome George Pickett to present this award tonight. George is a 1967 alum and a longtime supporter of the Elf School of Management. He has served on the advisory board for many years, including a long tenure as chair, and his leadership has helped the Elf School stay in step with industry and provide students with valuable real-world experiences. George.
Thank you, Joy. It's good to be with you. It is my distinct pleasure and privilege to present my good friend and fellow political science classmate from the class of '66. I cannot imagine a more deserving alum to be named as Distinguished Alumnus than Gerald Lord. Gerald and I first met as members of the Millsaps Singers. But unlike me, Gerald graduated with an additional degree in music and vocal performance. Since graduating from Millsaps, he earned the Master of Arts in Political Science and Public Administration at the University of Tennessee, where he later served on the faculty. He earned the Master of Arts in Religion and the PhD from Candler School of Theology, cum laude. and served as a faculty member and also in the administration at Candler. Time does not permit me to elaborate on the many significant accomplishments and developments and implemented by the mind and the hands of Gerald, so I must confine my remarks to an overview. Gerald retired, among other things, in addition to the academic, as a colonel in the U.S. Army Reserve and is a graduate of the U.S. Army War College. Following Candler, Gerald was vice president of the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools for nearly 20 years. Better known as SACS, this is the accrediting agency for Millsaps and other colleges and universities around the South. Gerald staffed numerous accrediting review teams as they did their work to evaluate, stimulate, and sometimes chastise institutions. He occasionally chastised Board of Trustees members for their failure to uphold high standards of fiscal accountability by the administration, which might lead to probation, loss of accreditation, or even closure of the institution. Gerald is a person of courage, smarts, and leadership. Following SACS, Gerald was named as the Associate General Secretary of the General Board of Higher Education and Ministry of the United Methodist Church. That is a very long title. That is a worldwide position. That division relates to over 115 institutions of the United Methodist Church in the U.S. and over 800 institutions worldwide. I cannot think of a single person more uniquely qualified to hold that position, and he did so with amazing clarity, leadership, and distinction. Gerald is now a resident of Atlanta, but he is a retired clergy relationship with the Mississippi Annual Conference of the United Methodist Church and is in connectional relationship as retired clergy with Galloway Memorial United Methodist Church. Most recently, just here this week, in fact, but within the last couple of years, Gerald has worked with the Dean of the Chapel, Dr. James, and the Elk School of Management Leadership to develop a program to be offered by the Elk School to provide adult education for United Methodist ministers and administrative staff, helping satisfy their mandatory continuing education requirements. His familiarity with church mandates is very essential to this vision, and working with Dr. James and with ELS, the adult ed program there, it's a magnificent mixture of skills and resources and focus that will serve in building the relationship between the church and the college. Also, of course, this adult education program is not going to be limited to United Methodist or Mississippi for that matter. It will be available to students, and it could significantly grow the adult education programs offered by ELS. All in all, this visionary approach to education is just the latest in a long list of undertakings under the leadership and intellect of Gerald Lord. Please join me in recognizing him.
I'm glad we're in the CC. A lot of memories in this building. But it's considerably different now from what it was when I was here. George, you are very generous. Thank you for your kind words. My friendship with Lynn, who later became your wife, dates back to my freshman year. Then you came along the next year. Good friends then, still good friends. I'm grateful for both of you. I also want to recognize Glenn and Marilyn Graves. They were both eminent pediatricians and neonatologists at the University Hospital here. I've known Glenn since we were in the second grade. We both chose Millsaps for college, and our friendship was cemented right here. After all, we were freshman roomies, and we do no secrets on each other. I'm deeply grateful to the Alumni Board, the Alumni Board members and staff members for this honor. Thank you, Joy, for your gracious phone call announcing this award to me and for preparing me so well for tonight. I confess to all of you that I was stunned when she called me with this news. I'm also grateful to the college administration, Mr. President, and humbled. I'm honored and humbled because I'm keenly aware that many other Millsaps graduates deserve this award. I recognize my debt to so many people, teachers, colleagues, friends, family, especially my wife, Joan, who tolerates me, supports me, loves me despite my faults. Thank you, Joan. Congratulations to Dorothea. Did I get that right? Dorothea. And Johnny. Your accomplishments are truly outstanding. And I look forward to learning what else you will achieve. Millsaps is the sine qua non for me, the starting point of a career that could not, would not have been possible otherwise. When I was in high school, I wanted to come to Millsaps, but I knew that my family could not afford it. All I wanted was a chance in life. Millsaps would give me that chance. Thanks to a Cheek family scholarship, 4 part-time jobs, 2 of them on campus, and almost no sleep, by the grace of God, I graduated on time with no financial debt. I don't think I can do that now. That chance became an opportunity. I was determined to take every advantage of it. The bachelor's degree led to a graduate fellowship, and that one to another one, and so forth. Millsaps didn't just change my life. It gave me a worldview that indeed has taken me around the world. I suppose that we all have pleasant memories of our college days. For me, the most important is singing in the Millsaps Singers Concert Choir, traveling outside of Mississippi on concert tours, serving as its business manager and learning something about the business side of life, building close friendships, working with others toward common goals, learning from master musicians, all priceless and life-changing. I will stop here lest I get nostalgic or even maudlin. I recall the teachers who shaped my thinking and taught me how to communicate. I'll never forget Marguerite Goodman's freshman comp vocabulary list, from which I learned words like nostalgic and maudlin, and I even learned the difference. I also remember Lee Byler and Dick Alderson, who opened music to me that I did not know and pushed my talents to sing it with more power and grace. I'll always be grateful to Polly Gatlin Bailey. Is she here tonight? She's on the board, and I want to see her, but I'll always be grateful to her, the extraordinary pianist who accompanied both of my recitals. She did the junior and had the courage to come back for the senior one. And she remained stalwart even when I forgot the words. And to remind you, she and her husband Joe are both previous recipients of this award. I think of Gordon Henderson, a brilliant political scientist who piqued my interest in that discipline, which led to a major and then to a master's degree. So from worldview to words to express my thoughts, to music that fed my soul, Millsaps changed me. I was honored to march in President Neville's inauguration. On that special day, I was pleased to see John Wesley's statue in a prominent place overlooking the bowl, appropriately holding a book. It was a reminder of one source of my spiritual grounding. It also gave me great hope that President Neville drew on Mr. Wesley's spirit that day when he had recited the inscription on the statue. See, I remember your speech. It was a pretty good speech. I have spoken and preached, literally, all over the world, extolling the virtues of education in the Methodist Wesleyan tradition. Methodism now has well over 1,000 institutions in that tradition worldwide. These institutions have the potential to give young adults some of the same opportunities Millsaps gave me. Indeed, education is arguably Methodism's most significant contribution to our global social fabric. In my career in education accreditation and then with United Methodism's higher education, I have visited hundreds of colleges and universities, both public and private. It goes without saying that while they all have core beliefs, they all share core beliefs, they each have their own traditions. But nowhere else have I encountered anything like the special feeling that pervades this institution. When I offered advice to a college president or dean, the gracious, life-giving spirit and tradition at Millsaps was the model in the back of my mind for how to do it right. We members of the class of '66 were here during the height of the civil rights struggle, a conflict probably more active in Mississippi than anywhere else. Millsaps faculty members set an example with the stands they took. In the discussions they fostered with students on campus, they helped us understand what was happening around us. At the same time, they remained true to the institution's mission. They maintained its academic integrity. I prayed daily for faculty members across the world to offer the same for today's students. Obviously, the Millsaps faculty had a profound influence on my life and career. Flash forward 50 years after my graduation. While I served as leader of United Methodism's higher education enterprise, I visited Soochow University in Taipei, Taiwan, a very fine Methodist-related institution. While I was talking with a distinguished, courageous scholar of human rights, he showed me a bulletin board covered with conference and publication notices related to the Human Rights Research Institute he had founded. Now, I knew that many of our Methodist-related colleges and universities around the world had ongoing human rights research efforts. I also knew that these scholars had difficulties communicating with each other across time zones and continents. And I believed that they could learn from each other. Soon, the International Association of Higher Education, International Association of Higher Education enterprise that I had formed the Human Rights Research Network, and I'm still active in it. This group of some 30 to 40 scholars now meet by Zoom 6 times a year. They've also met in person several times. They discuss their work, and they are finding that the research they do is influenced by both global and local circumstances. Now they can collaborate on research projects and broaden their thinking about the issues they study. When I listen to their discussions on Zoom, translators and all, I am reminded of the issues that we discussed right here in the 1960s. As I looked at a bulletin board display halfway around the world, was my inspiration to link these scholars planted by the Millsaps faculty some 50 years earlier? I'm convinced that it was. I also believe that most of my best thinking throughout my career was shaped by my time at Millsaps. Forged in the Millsaps tradition of service, leadership, and excellence, we students learn to think for ourselves, to be informed by our values, and to respect truth. These are undeniable gifts of liberal arts education. They remain when all the facts and details have grown faint. I am thankful to have been a beneficiary of this kind of education. I know that whatever I accomplished had its roots right here. The Millsaps webpage quotes lines from the original Millsaps alma mater. I'm tempted to sing it for you, but I'll spare you that. This stanza goes, quote, "And when in the years of the future, fond memory turns to the past, the days that we spent at Millsaps will yet be the brightest at last." That turns out to be very true, at least it is for me. Thank you, Millsaps College, for all of this and more.
Thank you, all 3 of our award recipients this evening, for your inspirational comments, for sharing your stories with you. And Gerald, I just want to say that the things that you all have done may be in the past, but their impact still lives in the present. You all are inspirations for the generations of Millsaps students that come after you. And so we are so thrilled to be able to celebrate your stories, to tell your stories, to share your stories with others. Because Millsaps, as you've all talked about, is a special place. It's a special community. It's a place, well, we've heard a little bit of it. It's a place where you're not just a number. It's a place that gives you an opportunity. It's a place that changes your life and shapes your future. Because Millsaps is committed to not just giving you a degree, but preparing students for lives of excellence, lives of purpose, and lives of service. And you all represent the very best of that, and we are very, very excited to be able to celebrate that here with you. Now, we challenge our students on their very first week to take an oath and to promise to carry forward the virtues of this college. And we ask them to be lights that others will follow. So thank you for being lights that others have followed, and we hope that many more will follow in your path. Thank you.